Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert. We are getting back to normal. We've got the band here with us today, and we are so blessed. I want to thank you for joining us today. It's always great to have you be here with us in virtual community so we can celebrate our oneness and just celebrate life and remind ourselves who we are, the expression of God. We have a great service for you today. We've got the band, we've got Reverend Charles, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun. So thank you, and let's begin.
May not have the answer of the how, the when, or why. May not know which way to go when the tempest starts to fly. But we cannot make excuses when the world is trapped in fear. Can't explain away the pain and hope it disappears. Whoa, no. May not move a mountain, may not reach the sky, cannot calm the waters deep if we can't see eye to eye. But we cannot hide behind the truth that's become so out of hand. We may not get a second chance, no, but we gotta take a stand. We got to try, make this world a better place. Catch us before we fall from grace. We gotta elevate the human race. Oh, 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 try. But we cannot hide behind the truth. It's become so out of hand. We may not get a second chance if we don't take a stand. We've got to try, yeah, make this world a better place. Catch us before we fall from grace. Human race. Oh, we've got to try. Oh, I know that we can make it better. I know that we can work it out. Yeah. We've got to elevate the human race. Oh, yeah. Oh, gonna try. We've got to try, yeah. We've got to try. Woo. We've got to try, yeah. Oh, oh, oh,
So let's talk about what's happening this week at the center. On Monday, June 29th, Reverend Charles will be interviewing Amy Steinberg, and she's been in our center before. She's a phenomenal New Thought singer, and they're going to have a wonderful discussion about what Amy's doing and how she is showing up in our world. On Tuesday, June 30th, Reverend Charles will be interviewing Jeff Von Seeley, continuing in the conversation that we're all having about what's going on with race relations and our ability to show up and be part of the change. On Wednesday, July 1st, it's the Sensational Six, discussing something wonderful and enlightening. On Thursday, July 2nd, we have a special guest, so stay tuned. On Friday, July 3rd, we have the return of Dr. Joe and Reverend Charles. They will be having a wonderful discussion. I'm sure it will be very lively, as they will just pick up wherever they left off from. Saturday, July 4th, before you go to have fireworks and barbecue, come join us for meditation at 10 a.m. And July 5th, it's back to Sunday services, and Dr. Joe will be in the house. Make sure you mark your calendars, set your alarm on your iPhone, do something to remind yourself that at 10 a.m. there's something special waiting for you to watch at Centers for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert. So we're going to join in an intention, which is our mission statement. And this is a statement of life. This is a statement of how we show up in the world. And we do this collectively as a Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert, and we also do it individually. And so this is our mission statement. Say it with me if you like. We are a dynamic, open, and positive faith community that accepts all religions. Our mission is to awaken you to your divine nature, empowering you to create the life of your dreams. We are changing lives one heart at a time. So I invite you to close your eyes and just join me in the energy of what we just said together. That we are here as a loving, positive community, changing lives one heart at a time. And it begins with our lives. And so as we open ourselves to change, let us know that there is a place within ourselves, a place that is divine, that is unlimited in its nature of love and light. That is a place that allows us to move through all of life with peace in our hearts. And so let's take this time right now just to be still, to set aside anything that might be buzzing around in our heads and just move into that heart space that is open, that is free, that is wide, that is expansive. And just relax into that spaciousness of being that is the center of our love, our heart, our joy, our divinity. And so as we just relax into this time and listen to the music and open ourselves up to that greater that is within, knowing that there is a beckoning deep within ourselves. That beckoning is God. That beckoning is a bigger way of being within and in our lives. And so let's just take this time together to move into a higher view, a higher love, a stillness, a joy that is the essence of our soul.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done and everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, and everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to this present moment here, to this new beginning here. And I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
So what I know right here and right now, that there is only one power, one presence, one source of life. That which is the everlasting nature that dwells within each and every person. That one I call God. That one I call infinite intelligence. That one I call spirit. And as I recognize that I am that one expressing, that the energy of spirit that is boundless, that is love, that is joy, that is peace, that is beauty, that is grace, that is what my energy is. And that is what rises up from deep within my soul to be expressed in all that I am doing. And so what I know for each and every person who is listening right here and right now, I am knowing for each person there is a breakthrough. There is an energy, there is a love that is ready to be revealed, to be experienced in the here and now. And so I know that as we all come together in this state of oneness, of knowing who we are, I know that there is a vibrancy, a revitalization, a knowing, an uplift to be in that grace and ease of spirit that is everywhere present. And so I know that if there is something to be known today, it is known through the words of Reverend Charles. I am knowing that the music is opening each person up to see something new within themselves, to see the life force that is everywhere present, to connect with it, to know it intimately, to be able to see that there is something better rising up by means of all of us, because we are one. And we are all working together through expansion of consciousness, for opening up our hearts to each other, to having compassion, to being still, to listening, to caring, to knowing that something good is yearning to be seen and realized and known and lived into right here and right now. And so as we just relax into this wonderful, wonderful service, knowing that our eyes, our hearts, our ears are wide open to hearing the truth, to embodying what we are ready to embody, to know that there is life that is to be lived by means of us, and we are ready to live it. We are ready to let go. We are ready to be free in our innate life of God. And so I know that in life right now, there is a new energy emerging, and we are it. And so I know that we're all very blessed for what we are experiencing right now in this service, knowing this is a reset. It's a chance to understand things a little bit differently. It's a chance to connect at the heart level and know that the one that we call God is expressing through all. And so with so much appreciation in my heart to speak these words of truth, to see them manifesting everywhere, I gratefully release my word now as law, knowing it is done. And so it is.
Show me the way. Show me the way. Your love will light my way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Your joy will light my way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Your peace will light my way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Your truth will light my way. And your love will light my way. And your joy will light my way. And your peace will light my way. And your truth will light my way. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Now take a deep breath in and exhale all the way out.
Just breathe. Remember to breathe. All around me, everywhere. It feels like nothing but despair. Confusion, disillusion, hanging in the air. Global melancholy smears a stain across the sky, and somewhere right now someone's crying, and I don't know why. I gotta believe it's not the end of the road. It's just a bad dream. And I gotta know my story will still be told. Just breathe. I kept my four-leaf clover clutched tightly in my hand. The things I thought were useful, I just don't understand. So I clicked my heels 1,000 times and opened my eyes. I don't know why I can't breathe. And I gotta know remember to breathe. If you take the time to breathe right now, from the bottoms of your feet, and just know that your story will soon be told. You gotta breathe, remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. Just take the time to breathe right now. From the bottoms of your feet, and just know that your story will be told. Breathe.
Our house band. How cool is that, huh? We haven't heard them in months. What a beautiful song. Jerry Lynn and the entire gang, thank you so much for blessing us and being together, socially distanced in a responsible way, blessing us with the music. Today I want to offer something special by way of today's lesson. I'm going to share the platform with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. A sermon that he gave, his very last sermon actually, the day before he died. And it's a sermon that I've listened to literally hundreds and hundreds of times. It's called I've Been to the Mountaintop. And I wanted to share that with you today because I think it's particularly potent right now. If you take some of the language of the times out or the situational language out, it fits perfectly for what's happening right now. And I'm moved by it. This is a sermon that, you know, sometimes when we're sitting around playing cards when I was back in Seattle with some friends of mine, sometimes we'd put music on. I'd put this sermon on while we were playing cards just to listen to it, and we'd contemplate while we were playing cards what the man was saying to us as far as asking us into perhaps a way of living that we're not living right now, asking us to risk, asking us to be bold, asking us to rise and shine today. The words are fitting, they're appropriate, they're moving, and I simply ask you to listen to them. Many of you may have heard this before. Some of you may have not. But I simply ask you to listen to these words for the next 12, 15 minutes. What he's saying to you through his words, what the invitation is for you through his words. And when he's done preaching, I'm going to come back and share some things that I would like to offer with you in this time based on his sermon. Take a listen.
Now that's a strange statement to make because the world is all messed up. The nation is sick. Trouble is in the land, confusion all around. That's a strange statement. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. And I see God working in this period of the 20th century in a way that men in some strange way are responding. Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free. And another reason that I'm happy to live in this period is that we have been forced to a point where we are going to have to grapple with the problems that men have been trying to grapple with through history, but the demands didn't force them to do it. Survival demands that we grapple with them. Men for years now have been talking about war and peace, but now no longer can they just talk about it. It is no longer the choice between violence and nonviolence in this world. Is nonviolence or non-existence. That is where we are today. I remember when Mrs. King and I were first in Jerusalem. We rented a car and drove from Jerusalem down to Jericho. And as soon as we got on that road, I said to my wife, I can see why Jesus used this as the setting for his parable. It's a winding, meandering road. It's really conducive for ambushing. You start out in Jerusalem, which is about 1,200 miles, or rather 1,200 feet above sea level. And by the time you get down to Jericho, 15 or 20 minutes later, you're about 2,200 feet below sea level. That's a dangerous road. In the days of Jesus, it came to be known as the bloody paths. And you know, it's possible that the priest and the Levite looked over that man on the ground and wondered if the robbers were still around. Or it's possible that they felt that the man on the ground was merely faking. And he was acting like he had been robbed and hurt in order to seize them over there, lure them there for quick and easy seizure. And so the first question that the priest asked, the first question that the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But then the Good Samaritan came by, and he reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? That's the question before you tonight. Not if I stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to my job? Not if I stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to all of the hours that I usually spend in my office every day and every week as a pastor? The question is not if I stop to help this man in need, what will happen to me? The question is, if I do not stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to them? That's the question. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination, and let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. And I want to thank God once more for allowing me to be here with you. You know, several years ago, I was in New York City autographing the first book that I had written. And while sitting there autographing books, a demented black woman came up. The only question I heard from her was, "Are you Martin Luther King?" And I was looking down writing, and I said, "Yes." The next minute, I felt something beating on my chest. Before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this demented woman. I was rushed to Harlem Hospital. It was a dark Saturday afternoon. That blade had gone through, and the x-rays revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of my aorta, the main artery. And once that's punctured, you're drowned in your own blood. That's the end of you. It came out in the New York Times the next morning that if I had merely sneezed, I would have died. Well, about 4 days later, they allowed me, after the operation, after my chest had been opened and the blade had been taken out, to move around in the wheelchair in the hospital. They allowed me to read some of the mail that came in, and from all over the states and the world, kind letters came in. I read a few, but one of them I will never forget. I had received one from the president and the vice president. I've forgotten what those telegrams said. I'd received a visit and a letter from the governor of New York, but I've forgotten what that letter said. But there was another letter that came from a little girl, a young girl, who was a student at the White Plains High School. And I looked at that letter, and I'll never forget it. It said simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a 9th grade student at the White Plains High School." She said, "While it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your suffering. And I read that if you had sneezed, you would have died. And I'm simply writing you to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. And I want to say tonight, that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960, when students all over the South started sitting in at lunch counters. And I knew that as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream and taking the whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we decided to take a ride for freedom and ended segregation in interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962. The Negroes in Albany, Georgia, decided to straighten their backs up And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they are going somewhere, because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been here in 1963. The black people of Birmingham, Alabama, aroused the conscience of this nation and brought into being the Civil Rights Bill. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have had a chance later that year in August to try to tell America about a dream that I had had. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been down in Selma, Alabama to see the great movement there. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been in Memphis to see a community rally around those brothers and sisters who are suffering. I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. And they were telling me, now it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We are sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane, and to be sure that all of the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong on the plane, we had to check out everything carefully, and we've had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got into Memphis, and some began to say the threats, or talk about the threats that were out, or what would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Always moves me. I can't help it. I get the bumps every single time I hear that. Not just because he's a great orator, but because of the commitment the man had, and knowing that it was the final sermon before he was shot and killed the very next day, and he could see it coming. Talk about courage. Even what he said about how many times he was attacked during his life for standing up for what he believed in. Now, black, white does not matter. To stand up for what you believe in, to stand up for your moral code, for your ethical construct that's born within your heart, standing up for what you know really is right in your heart takes a tremendous amount of courage. And if you were present to my conversation with Dr. David Alexander this last Monday morning, he brought up a very interesting point, that when we're talking about standing up for something, the question we need to ask oftentimes is, what are you willing to lose in order to have a life that really works? What are you willing to lose? Are you willing to lose something that gives you meaning right now? Whether it's ethically right or ethically wrong, oftentimes when we stand for something, we have to become willing to lose something. Lose something that we hold on to, that we latch onto. Oftentimes, oftentimes it is a limiting idea. We're not aware that it's a limiting idea, but we're being called to lose something so that we can fly. Not just individually, but together, that we can fly. Dr. Ernest Holmes said in what was originally called What I Believe, then what was adopted by the religious science movement, now called What We Believe. Dr. Ernest Holmes said, "We believe in the emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all." That this goal is sure to be attained by all. Are you willing, here's the question before us today that I pose. Are you willing to be the answer to somebody's prayer today? Oftentimes we pray looking for an answer, but do you know that there's somebody out there praying right now for you? That there's somebody praying for you to be their answer. That the way that you show up, the way that you stand up, the way that you stand erect, the way that you stand on your moral ground, the way that you stand for your principles, the way that you stand for life, the way that you stand for human rights, the way that you stand for equality and equity, you can be the answer to somebody's prayer today. Are you willing to be the answer to somebody's prayer today? Somebody's praying for your strength. Somebody's praying for your word. Somebody's praying for your kindness. Somebody's praying for you to stand up for them when they can't stand up on their own. Whatever the circumstances are. Just like Dr. King said on that road from Jerusalem down to Jericho, what will happen if you choose not to be the answer to somebody's prayer today? What will happen if you do choose to be the answer to somebody's prayer today? Do you know that you have the power to be the answer to somebody's prayer today? That gives me bumps right there. That you have the answer. That you are the answer. In your strength, in your kindness, in your love, in your willingness, in your joyfulness, in your capacity to see beauty. That you can arrive in a situation, see beauty where someone else isn't seeing it, and transform somebody's life in that instant. Do you know that you can do that? That you can be the answer to somebody's prayer that's crying in the night like an infant to be fed somehow. That's crying in the night like an infant to be held somehow. You can be that answer. That's crying in the night like an infant. They may not even know what they're crying for. Just to be nurtured and loved, that you can be that answer today. Are you willing to do that? It takes courage. It takes gumption. It takes grit. It takes fortitude. It takes... that's why I use the chip I have on my shoulders for that grip. To take that chip and turn it into something beautiful. To be a force, a juggernaut of God's love. I recall many years ago after I graduated from the School of Ministry, I wasn't ready to be a minister yet. I just felt it in my heart. I wasn't ready to leap in. I'd completed my studies and I said, you know what, I want to explore the world. I want to become more worldly. I actually want to continue my ministerial training after I graduated by putting a backpack on my back and traveling the world for 3 months. To intentionally put myself in situations where nobody knew me and I didn't know people. To see what I was made of. To see how I'd act. To see if I was in a place where I didn't know the language and people didn't know English, and could I get myself a plate of food? Could I feed myself? Could I create meaningful relationships with individuals? Even though the language was a barrier, could I still find somebody's heart? So for 3 months I started in Scotland. I went to Eastern Europe. I went down to Turkey and through Bulgaria and up to the Czech Republic and Poland. And one of the last segments of my journey was a flight from Brussels, Belgium, down to Accra, Ghana, where I spent 3 weeks in West Africa. And while I was on that plane, it's about an 8-hour plane ride, while I was on the plane, I was sitting next to a young mother and her baby, maybe a year old. Didn't communicate, just the most beautiful little baby. And while it shouldn't matter, I'd like to make note that this was a black mother and a black baby. And the two of us were sitting, I was on the window seat, and she was on the aisle seat. And about halfway into the flight, she turned to me and she said, "Excuse me, sir, I want to go back to the restroom to freshen up for a while. Would you mind taking care of my baby for a few minutes? And the initial moment of shock went away, and I said, of course I will. Absolutely 100%. And so for the next 10 to 15 minutes while she was using the restroom in the back of the plane, freshening up, here I was with this beautiful baby, this beautiful child. And we were looking out the window and looking at the reflection of ourselves in the window and laughing and playing with our hands and this and that. And I will always remember that. 10 to 15 minutes of heaven. And what I'll always remember about that is that this woman trusted me with the most important thing in the world, her baby. Trusted me with that. Anything could have happened in those 10 to 15 minutes. But she trusted me. And she knew that she could. And here I was, a 25-year-old young man. I'd been around kids, but I was aware of the responsibility in that moment of being present with that baby, knowing that that baby was under my care. I was the answer to that woman's prayer in that moment. She just needed some time to go back and freshen up and be by herself. And Lord knows now that I'm a parent, probably just take a deep breath, because in a deep breath is everything when you're a parent. Is everything. I was the answer to her prayer in that moment. And for the rest of the flight, it kind of felt like we were family. It just felt like we were there, flying for the next 4 hours or so. And when we got off the plane, I simply said, have a wonderful life. And she said, thank you so much. And that was that. Ernest Holmes said, we believe in the emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. In you being the answer to somebody's prayer today, somebody that's crying out in the wilderness for equality, for equity, for justice, for peace, for a moment of being seen as a human being. In a moment, you can be the answer to somebody's prayer, and in that moment, find emancipation from discord. In that moment, find freedom from your pain, from your struggle. Find freedom in being at peace with giving yourself away, being at peace with giving yourself to life, being at peace with giving your joy, with giving your beauty, with giving your harmony. Are you willing to be the answer to somebody's prayer today? Are you willing to be emancipated from the discord that keeps us in otherness? Emancipated from the discord that keeps us in separateness. Emancipated from the discord of, in this time where it seems like everybody go to your own corner and come out swinging. Can we meet in the middle with an embrace? Can we meet in the middle in joy? Can we meet in the middle and say, I see you as a human being, and I'm willing to have you be the answer to my prayer, and I'm willing to be the answer to your prayer? Can we meet in that center of harmony, embrace, and learn to walk together as a human family, as one? This is my invitation for you today. God bless you. My heart is with you. Be willing to be the answer to somebody's prayer today. God bless you.
Well, I know you enjoyed everything that you were given today to spiritually nourish you. And so this is the time where we are asking of you to give to us financially, because this is all about the law of circulation. We give where we're spiritually fed, and that allows us to give so much to you. And we're grateful for all that you've been giving us, because it allows us to be here virtually all week long. So there are many ways that you can give. You can text your tithe to us. There's a button below where you can give through PayPal, and you can also write a check if you want. Go figure. So we appreciate your gift. You allow us to thrive. You allow us to give, and we are just grateful for whatever is on your heart to give to us today. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I am so overflowing with love and joy. So great to have the band back today. It's nice to see our spiritual family coming back together and able to give to you this wonderful service of inspiration, of wisdom, joy, and massive love, so that you can just fill up and have a wonderful week. And so please join me as I close with this prayer. I know right here and right now is just a place of extreme gratitude and love gratitude for spiritual community, gratitude for love that is unlimited, gratitude that there is a way to be able to communicate during this time and reach the hearts of so many people. And so I know that as this week stands before us, that we have a new way of seeing life, that something has lifted from our shoulders so that we can have that lightness of being and see things through the eyes of spirit, to know that love is the greatest power there is and is showing up in so many different ways within our individual lives and collectively. And so I know that with love, all things are possible. And so as a spiritual community, as we stand in that love, as we stand in the faith and the knowing that there is only one and we are all that one, working together to lift everybody up, to be in right relationship with our brothers and sisters so that we can move forward together as a family of the human that is living in this time with the knowing of the divine that is emerging through all of us collectively. And so knowing that this has been a wonderful time together and that there is so much joy pouring through all of us, I'm just grateful to anchor in that joy, to know that everything is always unfolding perfectly and that life is a gift. And I'm grateful to be in that gift with everybody here today. And so with gratitude in my heart for all that has taken place and for the way that we all show up as love and peace and compassion, I now release my word as law, knowing it is absolutely done. And so it is.
This next song we're going to do, we would just like to say a huge thank you to our amazing staff here at CSL for keeping everybody going and the constant inspiration. Thank you, Reverend Charles. Thank you, Reverend Joe, Dr. Joe. Thank you, everybody on staff here. This is for you. Because of you, I made it through. Found the strength to hold on to. Never would have made it had I not concentrated on your love to pull me through. Because of you, I found my way to see the ray of hope in each day. Never would have made it had I not concentrated on your light to lead the way. Together we can weather any storm, standing in the arms of love, safe and warm. We will live in peace again, breathe a life anew again. We will stand as one, because of you, I made it through. Gave me faith to hold on to. Never would have made it had I not concentrated on your grace to see me through. Because of you, I found my way to see the ray of hope in each day. Never would have made it, not concentrated because of you. I made it through the storm because of you. You kept me safe from harm because of you. You gave me faith to hold on to. Because of you.